All right. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Duo, where daddies do fantasy. Today, we're going to be breaking down some of the fallout of the 2026 NFL draft. We'll be doing some winners, losers, and we could finish it off with a few sleepers, breakouts, and busts.
No
Jeff,
projections yet, no rankings, no nothing. Just situations, opportunity, and how the draft reshaped some of those teams that are out there.
yeah, and to tell you the truth, Jeff, I did start on my projections today. So I am only about four teams in, so nothing conclusive, but we will get to that when we get to that. So no news and notes today. But what's your general feeling of the draft? What surprised you? What positions went higher than you thought? What you think?
I will say I was more surprised about the tight end position than I think any other position. I I just watching college football last year, I wasn't overly wowed by any tight end in NCAA other than I'll say maybe the first four that went in the draft. And then past that, there wasn't really anybody that was overly exciting. And then for some reason, every single team after the third round was like, I'm going to take a fucking tight end because this is what we want to do.
I felt the same way when I was doing my draft prep. There were three tight ends that I liked, and everybody else I thought was just going to keep falling and falling and falling, and we saw just teams take big burly blocking tight ends high. So
Yeah,
I,
so
I
that might have been before I even thought it was because you were here for what, the second and third round?
yeah,
And I think we must have seen at least three or four go in the second or third round. So it was after the first round, there was just a plethora that just kept on coming off the board. I didn't even know there was a backup tight end from Ohio State that is more of
you
a
working on your
blocking tight
vocab.
end than anything, and he got pulled.
You working on your vocab? Plethora, is that a new word for you?
Plethora is a good one. Yeah, that was a movie stopper.
Yeah, there were four tight ends in the second round, four in the third round, and then it just kept going into the fourth, fifth, sixth. I mean, more than I've ever seen, and names that I didn't do any due diligence on because I just didn't think they were going.
I didn't even think it was that deep. I didn't realize that there were teams that were that good at the tight end position in the NCAA just due to the fact that there was a lot of good receivers this year too.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big surprises for me was that Jacksonville guy, Nate Bokircher, and like I said, his stats in college were almost non-existent. He didn't flash for me athletically. But I guess he's a great blocker, and teams are valuing that more than us fantasy guys are. So tight end was definitely a big shocker for me. And
Other than that position, I would say it felt like teams were trying to build more than normal, which is also nice to see. So you're not actually seeing somebody. I think I said it to you a little earlier today. Teams aren't just taking a quarterback that you didn't see coming in the first round and then not building up around him. Like the Giants did a couple years back. When you take a player that's, I'll, I'll, I'll start it right off. Fuck it. When you take a player like Daniel Jones in the first round from Duke and you don't really know what you're planning on doing for the rest of the draft, if you don't build up around him, you're not going to end up looking like you know what you're doing throughout the entire draft. And they had a couple years in a row that showed that. And when you're when you're rebuilding a team and you're trying to do something better than what you've got, you need to actually get more than just one piece and assume that he's going to know what the plan is, or tell him the plan and his face doesn't change when you're talking to him. So
you
then
know,
he goes to Indianapolis. They build around him, and look what happened last season before he got hurt. He was amazing.
yeah. I think a lot of those top teams they take an offensive tackle or an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman every single year in the first round, and those are the teams that stay good because you win in the trenches first, and then you pick and choose where you take your quarterbacks and
Correct. I agree.
position, and like you said, maybe some of these bad teams are figuring that out because there were 14 linemen taken in the first round. So out of those 32 picks, offensive and defensive linemen, 14. So almost half. So maybe teams are finally figuring that out. And I like to see it. I like the parity. So let's jump into the winners and losers of the NFL draft.
100%. 100%.
My first winner is Jalen Hurts. And when the AJ Brown news came out, I was fading him a little bit because outside of AJ Brown, outside of Devontae Smith, you know, there there isn't a ton to love about Jalen Hurts's fantasy game. He's going to tush push in for 10 plus touchdowns every year, but
Mhm.
his passing volume is low. Saquon is going to eat a lot of those touchdowns as well. But the Eagles prioritized Jalen Hurts. They insulated him. All three of their first picks were offense, and all three were picks that I think help him specifically, right? So Makai Lemon, they move up, they jump the Steelers. That was a funny situation.
I just picked him in one of my dynasty drafts. Love him.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, I love the situation. As long as AJ Brown leaves, which I think we all think he is.
That's still one of the biggest rumors right now in the NFL, isn't it? That the Pats, right? There's a trade brewing or was brewing or could be brewing or might happen.
Yeah,
We don't really know.
they reported that it's a done deal, but there's contract implications that they can't do it until June 1st. So
Is this like a fucking Aaron Rodgers situation? Are
I,
we
I think teams manipulate the cap so much that it's like almost
so
impossible to
much?
track
There's
this.
it's like it's all fog until something sticks.
Yeah. So I think he's going. I statted out the Pats already, and I acted as if AJ Brown is on that team. So I think he's going to be there. So they Makai Lemon comes in, AJ Brown out. They add Eli Stowers with the assumption, of course, Dallas Goedert signed that 1-year extension, so it's going to be Eli Stowers and Dallas Goedert this year. But that's a great receiving duo, tight end receiving duo, and profiles for the future. They grabbed Markel Bell, who's a mammoth human being. He's like the biggest human I've ever heard of in my life. So that's gonna give some tush push value. How do you feel about Jalen Hurts this year? Do you think that's enough to replace the vacuum of AJ Brown?
I even with AJ Brown there, I still would have liked to see him throw the ball more. I
I don't
just
think the
don't
Eagles will ever get away from their
the tush
roots.
push.
Well, their roots of like win in the trenches, run the ball,
They
push some tushes.
I mean, yeah, the running the ball with them is always, and with Saquon, you can't not run the ball. I get that, but I just feel like even with Smith, like there's reasons to throw the ball, get rid of it, and it's not like he hasn't shown us that he doesn't know how to throw on the run either. Like there's situations that he's had where he's shown that he can throw the ball in ways that he doesn't want to. he just I don't it's one of the teams, and now being a Giants fan and always watching them in divisional play, I fucking hate the Eagles. I really do. But that being said, I will be honest that he's a good quarterback. I would just like to see him throw the ball a little bit more. Fantasy wise, he's great because that tush push is in your favor all the fucking time. Nothing wrong with that. They should change the rules on that because it's a little bit too often, and you learn how to play something other than tushy pushy. But we're at the point in football where I won't even say all of football. I will say we're at the point in the game where some teams just stick to what they know they're good at. And once they figure out they're good at something, it's almost like other teams don't know how to stop them, even though it happens against them every single time they see him on the field.
Yeah,
If that's what
yeah.
they're good at, that's where they get it. He doesn't want to throw the ball. He's not going to throw the ball. Maybe he needs to get tested a little bit more.
Well, the Eagles, the average weight of their offensive lineman is like 360 pounds. So they know what they're good at, right? They line up big, they run it down your throat, and if you can't stop them, they keep doing it. Like I said, Markel Bell, he's like 6'10", almost 400 pounds. And he gives some Mekhi Becton vibes, when they won the Super Bowl with him. Mekhi Becton went to another team. He couldn't stay on the field, but what he did well was just push people in a straight line, right? He was 400 plus pounds. So I think that they know what they're good at, right? And they're going to keep that tush push. One interesting thing that I'll point out is their new OC, Sean Mannion. He's a young guy. He's an ex quarterback. He loves bootlegs, pre-snap motion, and hypothetically, this should be a quicker hitting, more efficient offense. So like you said, that passing volume for Hurts should go up, right? And that completion percentage should go up. They grabbed a lot of like short area winners. So
Did I see Wicks? Is Wicks?
Yeah, yep.
Is he with them now too?
He sure is. So Mekhi Lemon is a short yardage separator. Devonta Smith's a short yardage separator. Stowers, Wicks. So, they don't have that downfield threat, which, could that be a red flag? Sure. But this new offense, I think I like it. So let's go to one of your winners. You have the Jets written down. I'll let you'll step on.
I'll punch in the Jets, and the main reason why. Well, I'll start by saying this. They are not good. And I can say that because I'm a Giants fan. So they're not good. There's nothing about this team in the past couple of years that has really shown anything to anybody. They've had spurts on defense. Their defense has been relatively solid. I mean, granted,
not last year.
No, not last year, but granted, I'll say in the last decade, they've had a relatively solid defense. They've just needed to work on their offense and build things up a little bit. And we have a friend of ours that is a pretty big Jets fan, and it's sad. It's very sad seeing him every single season and what happens and how it goes, and living off of the LaDainian Tomlinson years with them. But anyways, they had a very good first round. They had 3 picks in the first round, so it's hard not to find one good thing about 3 picks in the first round. But David Bailey, their first pick, number 2, amazing. He was the first defensive player to go off the board because he is top 2 in the entire league, and we're just saying all defensive players that were on the board for them. He's probably number 1 or number 2, arguably, depending on who you talk to. Kenyon Sadiq, best tight end that was on the board, probably. I would say best tight end that was probably on the board. He's number 1. I love his gameplay. I think he's great. Do they have somebody that's going to be able to pass to him? Probably fucking not. Probably not. If the way that he played on the Raiders last year is anything to show how good he is when he's coming back to the Jets, it's probably not going to be anything good. So it's
any faith in Klubnik?
So I was actually going to end off on that. I was gonna. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. Omar Cooper Jr., who we talked about last week, I believe. Is he a good receiver, or was it just because of how good Mendoza was in Indiana? We're going to find out because I'm fumbling over my words here because I'm very excited to talk about this because nobody talks about the Jets actually having a good draft. So I will say Omar Cooper Jr., good player. Yes. Is he as good as people think he is? We don't know because maybe Mendoza was better than we actually thought he was, and Indiana just built each other up, everything. Great NCAA squads, yada, yada, whatever. But he could do well for this team because they need the volume on the team. And first round pick, obviously there was something there that they saw. There was something there that other teams saw. So very excited about it. We could talk about a couple of other things, but I want to jump right to the Cade Klubnik. I didn't even think he was going to get drafted. I really didn't. Not after the year that he had last year. 2 years ago in Tennessee, I think he did very, very well. No, not Tennessee. Clemson. Right? Klubnik?
Let me look him up.
Quarterback in Clemson.
Yep, that's right.
Clemson, okay. Jeez, almost had it. Almost had some wrong info getting thrown out there. So he was with the Clemson, Clemson. He was with Clemson. Very good year 2 years ago. Phenomenal season. I thought he was going to go to the draft then, decided to stay one more year, and nobody talked about him. He was a ghost.
Yeah. Yep. He passed for in 2024. He passed for 3,600 yards and 36 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. 2025, that 36 touchdowns dropped all the way to 16. So his stats took a huge dive. He was a 4-year starter, so he's got a lot of film.
He did the exact same thing that Alar for Penn State did. Everybody thought he was going to jump right into the draft, decided to stay another year. Now he got hurt, but Klubnik obviously didn't. He just didn't have a great year. Is this exciting for the Jets? It could be. He's talented and he's got a good quarterback package to back him up. He can throw the ball. He's done well. He had a lot of starts in college, so he's been played throughout. He knows what he's doing. But that college flip to NFL it's different, and the gameplay is faster, and things are moving by you that you don't even see or feel when you're in college. So I will say it's exciting that he's there. It was an interesting pick, 4th round. But it's the Jets.
If you had to put your money on it right now, does Klubnik start for the Jets and what week? Because we know Gino is going to start for at least the first few. So
I'll give Gino. I'll give Gino. I'll be nice. I'll give him 8 or 9 weeks.
All right, I was going to say 10. I was going to say 10 plus.
I'll give him 8 or 9 weeks. I won't go into double digits and go 10, and here's why: because he fucking sucks. He had, and I will say this: when he was on the Seahawks, he did very well, and I fought for him a couple of times to get him in fantasy. I did. Now, fantasy football is different than the actual football that we watch when we're sitting there in front of the television. He was fucking trash last year when he was on the Raiders. He did not move the ball well. He didn't throw the ball well. It was almost like he was blind behind there, and something happened to his QB vision where he must have had a visor on where the tints were illegal because he wasn't throwing the ball well. I don't know. The excuses could probably kill a donkey. I have no idea. But what I will say is if Klubnik gets in there, there's a chance that offense changes. He just needs the time to actually move forward with them during practice and learn the plays, learn how to call them, learn what he's got to do, and then get ready to get fucked up because everybody knows that offensive line is going to get you hit a couple of times. If you don't build the offensive line, you're going to get fucked by the offensive line. So
Yep. Yeah. I think I think this is a great draft also, but I think it profiles as like a draft for the year 2027. Like I think Geno Smith is just in there to be a vet to teach these guys to run an offense, not necessarily do anything flashy. So I think this is a development year for them. I think they win like 4 games. But it is a great draft.
you're only going to give them 4? Oh my! They're going to go 4-13.
Yeah, probably.
Oh God! I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 4-13, but I would have said 6 or 7.
They did have a great draft. That David Bailey. They grabbed Daryl Jackson Jr. on day 3. They got a little bit of passing juice or pass rush juice. But look, Brees Hall's good. Garrett Wilson is good. They're rolling out Geno Smith and rookies. Like you said, bad offensive line, incomplete defense.
Hey, the people that we talked to about this draft and how I was so excited that they had. I mean, I was excited to see the Jets get 3 good first-round picks. Everybody said, "Well, that sucks because they're just going to go there to die." So, if that's the way that it's being looked at, I mean, is there a chance? Yeah, there's always a chance that it could be a season. I mean, the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl last year. Holy shit! So,
the Patriots had a high-level defense, and I mean, Drake
they also
did
had the
take next
easiest.
step. Yeah,
They had the easiest schedule in the NFL last year. I don't know if anybody knew that, but
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, so my winner number 3 is Tyler Shuck. Look, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I love Tyler Shuck.
Drink that Kool-Aid, man. He proved himself to me at the end of the year last year.
Everybody hated him when he got drafted. They said, "What are the Saints doing? They're drafted like the oldest quarterback in the class who did not have a good combine. But look, he just produced a high-level offense. Under Kellen Moore, they were the 7th best offense in football in the second half of the year. That's crazy.
Mm.
Like, if you were to tell me that before the year started, I would have thought you were high.
Yeah, everybody would have laughed. Everybody would have laughed.
It's like you looked at their roster. They had Chris Olave. They had an aging Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson. I'm a fan of him, but it's like their O line was in tatters. How the heck did they produce the way they produced? And on top of that, they're grabbing Travis Etienne Jr., or as he told everybody, his name is Travis Etienne Jr., but I'm not going to pronounce it that way until I hear it for a full year of broadcasts, because I don't believe it. But so now he's got Etienne, he's got Kamara. That's 2 competent pass catching running backs. They drafted Jordan Tyson high. Now that they got a legit outside deep threat, they got Olave. Well, Olave could do it all. He's a high level receiver.
He went fucking nuclear last year. He went off. He had a great year. I had him in fantasy last year. I picked him up in Dynasty today. He was amazing. Not today, 2 days ago, but fucking amazing. He had a great year. So
there's going to call you out on it, Jeff. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's all good. Hang out on him. Honestly, I hung out on him last year, and he won a few weeks for me. He showed up.
He's a high-level guy. I mean, he does it all. They grabbed Oscar Delp, who was my 3rd tight end in the class.
Go Dogs.
And Delp, I've heard some mixed reviews on him. I think he's a hell of a receiver. I mean, I
fucking love him. Go Dogs, baby.
And then, like I said, Kellen Moore. All Kellen Moore has done in this league is succeed. Like, he came up with the Cowboys. He had the best offense in the league with Dak Prescott, the highest scoring offense in the league. He goes to the Chargers, a little bit of a blip. Then he goes to the Eagles. He wins a Super Bowl as the OC. And now he's here on the Saints in the second half of the year. They're a top 7 scoring offense. I think they're going to throw the ball all over the place. I haven't done my projections yet. I'm going to rank Tyler Shuck way too high.
I mean, we spoke very highly of Tyson. Very highly last week of Tyson. And the fact that they drafted him and just adding him in with Olave and getting Travis Etienne, I think, I mean, I'll put Delp aside because obviously go Dogs. But, I mean, it's just seeing teams that had glory, that lost the glory, that are building. There's that word again, building. They're building themselves back up. After what they did in the second half of the season last year, if you're an NFL football fan and you just like seeing good football, you loved watching every single game that they played because they were putting it to whoever they had next to them. That being said, this season, they could put it to them even more. They showed up. Now they're going to show out. I hope to say they're going to show out. Early prediction, I'll give him 10 wins.
I was about to shit on you for that one, and it's possible. It really is. It really is.
I shouldn't even be giving an early stat like that, but 10 wins, fuck it. Let's roll with
it.
Their
defense is a big component to that because I'm not sure how good their defense is. We'll see, but that offense is gonna produce, and
they are gonna produce. I agree.
I'll throw in one more. They also drafted Bryce Lance, who is Trey Lance's brother. So we know he's an athlete. So I mean, that's a 4th round wide receiver who they typically don't pan out, but it gives some depth to the room.
It's true. It's true.
I'm a low key Saints fan. Not for real. All right,
because of that QB1, baby.
Going on to my team and your next winner, the Seahawks. So tell me a little bit about the Seahawks, what you saw there, what do you think about their draft, and give me some info on them.
Going into the draft, 2 of the names that kept getting brought up were Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I'm a big Price guy, both from Notre Dame. They were the 1-2 punch over there. I gotta say, Seahawks fucking nailed it when they landed Price at that 32nd pick in the first round, right? The
last pick,
last pick in the first round.
Super Bowl
I,
champion Seahawks. So last pick.
and it's I was baffled. I could sit here and talk about him all night, but he's quick on his feet. He's got that chunk play ability, which you don't. It's out there. You don't see it as often as you used to. It's out there. I mean, he averaged over 5 yards a carry. He was he was their RB2, and he had good numbers for every single season he played there. Again, the switch to NCAA from NFL is huge, so it could be a little bit different for him when he gets up there. He's basically looking at an RB1 spot on the Seahawks right now. He's basically walking into an RB1 spot. Now, granted, that being said, he could walk in and fucking shit his bricks the first day on practice, and a nobody streamer on fantasy could fucking end up as their RB1, and we could have somebody else show up and do something good.
George
But
Halani, baby.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't think Price is going to fucking drop the ball. I think he's going to get in there, and since he's got that fucking RB1 spot basically already on lockdown, and he never really had it when he was in college, I think he's going to walk in with his head held high and fucking show him what he's got. He's a great player. I am very excited to watch him. I'm not even going to talk about any of the other players that we have here just because of the fact that I'm so excited that they fucking snagged him. Notre Dame had 2 running backs go in the first round. It's awesome.
I have some questions about that in particular. I wonder if it was just a healthy system for running backs. You rarely see 2 college running backs drafted this high. I mean, I can't think of the last time.
Well, look at the way that you see the way that Notre Dame used them last year and the last couple of years, but look at the way that the Seahawks used Walker and Charbonnet last year.
I actually think that
They had a 1-2 punch as well.
Yeah, a lot of the skills that Price has will translate to how they used Walker. I mean, he has that missed tackle ability. He's got that chunk play ability. He's electric, or at least he looked like it in college. So, look, I'm hoping for the best. And
if and when Charbonnet comes back week 6, week 8, week 10, whatever it may be, from his ACL tear that he had last year in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I think he'll be back earlier, but he'll have a ramp up.
When he comes back, because he's obviously going to be back next year, but when he comes back, the 1-2 punch with them, whether or not Charbonnet steps in as RB1 or if Price stays RB1 and Charbonnet is RB2, he's a red zone monster, Charbonnet.
Yeah.
He is a red zone. He proved it last year. If you're a fantasy guy and you had Walker, you fucking hated him because he was a touchdown stealer. If you're like me and you gave up a first-round pick in Dynasty for him last year, you can't fucking wait until he comes back. That being said, if he comes back and it's a 1-2 punch between the two of them, no matter who's first and who's second, that could be a very exciting offense just off of that alone.
We know they want to run the ball. I mean, that is what the Seahawks do. They build off that play action. They love running the ball, that zone read. So I like it. I mean, I love it for fantasy. I love it for Dynasty. He's going to catch passes. All right. So one more winner for you, Jeff. We're going to talk about the Giants. Take it away.
Fucking love them. Big Giants fan, baby. Their first pick was pick number 5 in the first round. Reese, one of those top 3 that's coming out of Ohio State. He's a big boy. He's a great edge rusher. Fucking he's a mover. He'll get you up and get you out of the way faster than you even fucking fart, and you don't even know what's going on.
You watch any of his interviews?
I tend to try to stay away from watching their interviews because it sometimes you love watching a player on the TV. You don't want to watch their interviews because it'll either push you in the wrong direction or it'll make you be like, well, you probably shouldn't have said that, but I love you anyways.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, Jeff, but Arvell Reese is maybe the dumbest human I've ever seen.
I'll be honest with you. Be as dumb as you fucking want. If you can play football like he can play football, then fucking by all means you can be on the Giants all day, baby. I'm
Yeah,
glad they fucking
God
took
gave
him.
him all the physical tools and none of the
Dude,
mental ones.
God gave him everything he fucking needed. He can be as dumb as he wants. I don't even care.
Oh, Frank Gore couldn't read, so we know that you don't need to be the brightest, the sharpest tool in the shed to be a Hall of Fame talent.
He could just be the fucking hardest tool in the shed, and that's exactly what he is. He's a fucking monster. He's fucking his consistency with pressure on the fucking quarterback all the fucking time. Amazing. He wants the ball. He wants it. He wants it. He's going to get it.
Yeah. And he's versatile too. He could play off ball. He could cover. He could he could in the middle. So he is very versatile. And
teams were just scared to play against him in college because he was on that fucking line that was in front of him. You see him there, you know he's coming, you know exactly what he's going to do. The problem is you can't fucking stop him, and he proves it every single year.
And with those, the Giants are loaded at pass rush. I think there's a definite chance that he plays off ball more than we think. I think he's going to be going sideline to sideline as well. So I'm looking at 6-7 sacks, but I'm looking at way more tackles than we think. But we'll see. They got Brian Burns, they got Thibodeau. They're going to rotate him in. All three of them are going to be rushing the passer all year.
They're going to work very well together because that defense is going to be hard-headed, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yep.
Their second pick in the first round at pick 10, I'm going to have to learn how to say his last name very soon. Maui Noah, Francis Maui Noah.
That's it.
Well, now we know Maui Noah. He's fucking amazing. OT from Miami. He had a great fucking season last season in Miami. This is what the Giants have needed for years. And any Giants fan will tell you, when you've got numerous picks, you should have taken somebody that was on the O-line a while back. But when you've got a good, solid beginning of the first round draft pick, and there's offensive linemen on the board, when your fans are like, you need to fucking take one of those offensive linemen because we're going to jump ship. We're going to jump ship and go to Buffalo. I'm not jumping ship and go to Buffalo. You know why? Because we finally fucking did it, and we finally fucking got what we needed. We've needed an O-lineman for a bit. We've needed somebody to block some guys because we've had some issues. And now that we've got Scat, we need somebody to block for him so we can keep him on the field. Keep your wits about you so you can see what you're running into and running out of. I think this is the kind of investment that most teams get and they use as long-term. And I think that's exactly what the Giants are going to do here because he's a big boy and he's got a lot of stability and he's very capable at starting in the NFL right off the rip. I think that's probably what they're going to have him do. They're going to put the pressure on him when it comes to camp and when it comes to the first few practices and probably during some of their preseason games and just push him to his limits early so he can figure out what he needs to get done when he's going into the NFL from the NCAA.
I'll also say it, Maui Noah. I think he's a guard, so I think they're going to push him inside. I think that's great for the Giants. I run that ball up the middle. Play a punishing offense. It gives Dart and a Scat a great opportunity to run the ball. Can he play outside? Yeah, he could play all over the line. He could play every position on the line. I think he profiles as a guard. I think it's beneficial to keep him there long term. We'll see.
I think during the draft, he was the one that said he was going to die for his team, wasn't he?
I think he did say that.
His onstage interview, I'm pretty sure he
said that last year, and we saw how that went.
Oh man, I love it when they get on the stage and they say stuff like that though, because that's it. It excites you as a fan. You see somebody saying that, you're like, oh man, this is our year, and that's the kind of excitement that Giants fans need since those last two Super Bowls that we had that were absolutely fucking amazing to watch. But it's been a while, and we don't want to just get back to the playoffs. We want to get back to the playoffs and fucking shit on some laps. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. I don't know what shitting on laps means, but That's all
right.
right. You do you.
Aside from the doo-doo water, we're going to talk about picking the second round for the Giants, Colton Hood from Tennessee. He speaks for himself when he plays. He's one of those guys that he's a cornerback that you just don't want to go up against. And he's proved it in college. He's another long-term decision for the Giants, I think. I think he's one of those guys that you're going to put on the field, and he's going to make the guys that are possibly starting in front of him in camp work to keep their positions because he has talent and he knows how to use it. There's a lot of people that looked at this pick and were like, damn, the Giants are on point this year with what they're doing. They're really putting their money where their mouth is, and they're grabbing some spots that they need. They're filling their roster, and this was a good fill. Again, the three picks that we've talked about so far for them they were great fills. That being said, Malachi Fields is going to move into this offense like he's moving into his new home. I think he's not going to take targets from Neighbors, but I think what targets he is given are not going to fall on blind eyes and like not sticky hands. I think he's going to grab the ball and do what he can with it. And dare I say he's going to get over 800 yards this year? It's possible, but we just got to stay healthy, and the team's got to keep doing what we're doing and not get injuries. But what do you think, Jackie?
Malachi Fields, for me, he profiles as like a better real life player than fantasy player. Like he wins deep, he stretches the field, he stretches out that defense, and I think that's going to help Dart. I think that's going to help Scat. I think that's going to help Neighbors. 800 yards, maybe, but I think
I'm a Giants fan. I got a dream sometime, right?
If he gets 800 yards, I think he's going to do it on like 40 catches, 45 catches. So it's
because of that deep ball is what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
So if he's catching that many yards, I think he's doing it highly efficiently, deep passes. Would I project him for 800? No, I'd project him for more like 500-600. And but hey, it's teams are going to have to commit to Neighbors. Teams are going to have to commit to the line of scrimmage. So he's going to get single coverage. And if he draws that safety over to him, which it's gonna, it may happen, then the Neighbors is going to eat volume. So I like the pick. I think it's a good real life pick at fantasy, maybe long term, but we'll see. All right, let's move on to losers, draft losers. We're each just going to do one because, as usual, only 2 episodes in, we already got a trend. We're going overtime. So I'll start it off, and my big loser for the draft was just rookie running backs. Jeremiah Love, obviously, nothing really could have happened to him to hurt him. The Cardinals, that's fine. Jadarian Price landed in a great spot. So those two excluded. This rookie class of running backs just dropped and landed in bad places.
Yes.
Jonah Coleman, who's I'm a big fan of, and who's still my dynasty running back 3. He landed behind J.K. Dobbins and Harvey. So it's like most likely he's going to need an injury to get playing time.
Singleton could have landed in a good spot.
Singleton, yeah. So Pollard and Spears are definitely beatable, but you look at that 5th round value, that 5th round landing spot, and it's just not good. It means the team is not committed to him. So it's like, even if he gets that starting spot, there's a solid chance they'll just draft another guy next year. They'll bring in a free agent.
That's true, unless he turns out to be just like Scat was last year. Didn't Scatteroo get drafted in the 5th round, I believe?
Yeah. So I mean, it's possible these guys show up, but it's like the opportunity is going to be hard to come by. They're going to need injuries.
I agree.
Johnson, 5th round behind Ken Walker. He's gonna need an injury. Katron Allen, he's behind Rashad White, who's not like some superstar, but again, it was late round value.
He can play.
Katron Allen, by
White
the way.
can play. I do like Allen. I will say he's another 1-2 punch that's over there in Penn State with Singleton. And I will say this. I do think Allen being the number 2 behind Singleton is looking for his time to move forward. And that being said, this could be the time for him. I mean, this not saying that White's unbeatable and he's amazing, because don't get me wrong, he's one of my boys. I love him. I've had him for a while in fantasy. In real football, like eyes in the game, legit, what we watch every single Sunday, he can beat him out. There's a solid chance there. He's got the talent and the tools to beat him out. It's just whether or not White is going to wake up on his new team.
Katron Allen, also an all-time nickname, Fat Man. So the fans are going to be rooting for him.
No, they're going to love him. Yeah, they're going to love him.
Yep. So I think rookie running backs were a big loser. I in dynasty drafts, outside of those top 2 guys, and I'll quickly talk about Kalen Black. He was the only 3rd round running back, but just a weird pick by the 49ers. I mean, they picked him like 3 rounds above the projection. Just a weird pick. The 49ers, they just think they're smarter than everybody. And they are in a lot of ways, because they draft poorly in these early rounds and they still win a lot of games, but I'm not expecting much out of that guy. All right, Jeff, do you want to cover one of your draft losers?
Yeah, I won't say their entire draft was a loss, but I think they were lost with the first pick that they made. First round, 13th pick. Rams pick Ty Simpson. I don't think I was the only one that was baffled by seeing this. I think everybody has seen the videos of McVay where he looks very confused and says he's going to keep that between him and his team, and they're going to talk about it, and they're going to give everybody a fair shot. I believe they also have Stenson Bennett behind Stafford over there, correct?
That's right.
So I believe Stenson and Ty Simpson will be fighting for that QB2 on the Rams behind Stafford, the GOAT Stafford. So I think even thinking about it now, I was sitting there on my couch. Daughter was sleeping upstairs. Was hoping she didn't wake up. 13th pick, Los Angeles Rams choose. They said Ty Simpson, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And you could have picked something that you needed now to win with, but instead you picked something in the first round that could be good for you down the road, and could being the big word there, because Matt Stafford can teach somebody all the live long day, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to take in and keep in mind with what Stafford was saying. Now, that also being said, there's somebody that I wanted to compare him to that also got taken in the first round by the Carolina Panthers in his draft, and that's Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins got drafted in the 90s by the Carolina. Sorry, my daughter is crying upstairs right now. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good. She's all good. Yay. That being said, he got taken in the 90s by the Carolina Panthers. He first round looked like he was going to be a great to show. I don't even think he got 3,000 passing yards while he was on the Carolina Panthers. Then he goes to the Giants, makes it to a Super Bowl, 12-4 season, goes to the Super Bowl, and he gets his bare ass spanked by the Ravens like a fucking child who didn't even know what he was doing, and he was making every single Giants fan so mad. Stayed for a couple more years, had a couple productive seasons, but didn't really fucking wind up to shit. That being said, the reason why I'm comparing the two is because when you get taken in the first round, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders when you're going into that team. Whether you go in as the starter or whether you go in as a backup who is the presumed possible starter in a couple of years. Do I think the Rams could do the same thing next year and just say, hey, we're going to fucking draft this guy because he looks a lot better than the quarterback that we drafted last year to sit behind Stafford? They could. You don't know after them doing something like this in the first round. In my eyes, it's not a Daniel Jones pick because he didn't play at Duke. And that's the only reason why. For me, somebody else may say or think something differently. But for me, why the fuck would you do it?
Shout out Kerry Collins. He was the quarterback for the CJ2K 2,000-yard season. He started 11-0. They finished 12-4, I think, and got bounced first round of the playoffs. So I think it's a fine comp. I didn't like Ty Simpson coming out. I think it's just about the best landing spot for him for Ty Simpson. I think it's a weird pick for the Rams. They want to win a Super Bowl. Why are you drafting a backup? At the same time, it's what the Green Bay Packers did, going from Favre to Rodgers, going from Rodgers to Love. But here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers only won one Super Bowl with the Packers. Brett Favre only won one Super Bowl with the Packers. Maybe if they went all in and drafted a need, maybe each of those guys would have two. So again, weird pick. I don't like it. I love it for Ty Simpson though. He's moving up my rookie dynasty rankings.
Good for him. Good for him. I mean, and it's not. Yeah, good for him. It's just a surprising pick for the team.
Yep. All right, let's move on to sleepers, breakouts, and busts. We're gonna move quick through these because like I said, we're going overtime. Quick definitions. My definitions: a sleeper is a player who will outperform his ADP. A breakout is a player who will be much better than last year, regardless of ADP. And a bust is a player who will underperform his ADP. So my first sleeper, at first I had Jerry Jeudy, and then they drafted Concepcion in the first and Denzel Boston in the second. So that target volume is vanishing for Jeudy.
Yep.
Completely. However, I think a sleeper is gonna come out of that receiving room. Ted Monken is a competent OC. He's their head coach, but
they need a quarterback that can throw to them.
I think there's a solid chance Shedeur takes a step forward, or Deshaun Watson comes back and is playable. I'm not saying either
when he's not touching people.
Yeah, right, yeah. That then we'd be hoping for Shedeur. Jerry Jeudy was the wide receiver 15 overall in 2024, so he's talented. He could very well beat out Concepcion and Boston outright. I like Concepcion, so I think he's the guy that comes out of this room as
I think so too. Yeah, he's my favorite on that. They definitely, those two picks of Concepcion and Boston, they bumped up that wide receivers that they had last year, that list of wide receivers that they had last year, because it was basically fucking empty for them before the draft. Picking those two, great decision. Another good first couple of rounds by a team that you didn't think was going to make a decision to actually like bolster up what they had.
Yep. They drafted two starting offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds, 2 starting wide receivers. They have a stud in Judkins. As long as a quarterback shows up and
stud in Judkins. Oh my God. Shout out.
So I like the Browns as a sleeper team in general. They got a great defense. I think all of these guys are going to be depressed in ADP because it's the Browns, and I think 1 or 2 of them are going to be flex plays. Right now, Judy's wide receiver 61. That's 155 overall. You're not even drafting.
Look at what he did the year before, and then when he came back last year and he did what he did, everybody was like,
whew. Yep. Okay, Jeff, you got a sleeper for me?
Hell yeah, I got a sleeper. My sleeper is probably top 3 favorite rookies that are on there, man. Zachariah Branch.
Okay, real quick, just talk to me about the landing spot, because we covered him pretty good last week.
We did. His landing spot with the Falcons. What competition is he fighting up against? Kyle Pitts, pretty much?
Drake London, Kyle
London,
Pitts.
Yeah. So there's you got Drake London. That's a wide receiver 1 right off the rip. There's no competition there. Hands down, Drake he's lights out. That being said, Kyle Pitts is a tight end and he takes targets, but he doesn't take a lot of volume with the targets that he's getting. You'll see 3 games in a row where he gets 4, and then he'll have 2 at 10, and then he'll go back to 5 games at 4. So he's anybody that has him in fantasy year in and year out knows exactly what he does. He's a good tight end. He just doesn't. You can't expect the amount of targets, also because London's there to take all those targets up. That being said, that wide receiver 2 spot is wide the fuck open with the Falcons right now. Wide open.
I'll say quickly, Olamide Zaccheaus and Jahan Dotson. I'm not scared of either of them. Zachariah Branch is going to be that wide receiver too. I worry a little that Stefanski, isn't a big screen game guy. Zachariah Branch is too good at screens. He's too good at those design plays to not have it. I think he's that wide receiver too. I think he's probably 4th on the team in targets, maybe 3rd. Bijan, London, and maybe he gets more targets than Pitts. I think it's totally
his
possible.
40 at the combine made people a little nerve wracking because they thought he was faster than what he actually ran. There's a difference between combine speed and game speed. Game speed is a whole different ball game. This man can run. Not only can he run, I called last week. He's like a cheetah. He can stop on a dime. He can run a 90 like it's nobody's business. But he tune into last week's and we talk about him a lot more. Homeboy can move. He's a great receiver. Go Dogs.
So my breakout, I'll keep this quick. I'm going to give you 2, and I'll talk about them almost in the same way. Luther Burden and Christian Watson. They both have their competition got thinned out. DJ Moore gone in Chicago, and Romeo Dobbs gone, and Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks gone in Green Bay. Both of these guys are great athletes. There's clear opportunity. They're football players. So look, there's risk with both of them because there are still good players on that team. But I think the volume for both of them goes way up. They're big play guys. Breakout Luther Burden and Christian Watson, and their ADP is going up too. I'm drafting them at ADP.
I'd like to see Luther Burden make a show this year. I'd love to see that happen.
Yep. All right, breakout for you.
Nicholas Singleton, another rookie. I going into the draft, I didn't have high hopes on a good landing spot for him. I didn't think he was going to go in the higher rounds. I did think he was going to end up not landing somewhere good, but I did think wherever he did land, he was going to end up making good position for himself. Now, that being said, Pollard and Spears, I think he can beat him out. 55 total career touchdowns at Penn State. He had basically 5,600 career all-purpose yards. He's a 3-down back. And he's a very good one at that. And his legs don't seem to get very tired. Penn State fans like to see him because they missed Barkley when he was there. And he produced every single year with another running back on the exact same squad that was the 2-punch out of the 1-2 punch, Allen. It's just nice to see that he landed somewhere where he could maybe do the 1-2 punch with Pollard, but I don't think it would have the same finesse that he did with Allen in college.
I worry that Pollard and Spears both have valuable skill sets. I think it could be turned into an ugly 3-headed backfield. I don't think Pollard and Spears are so good that he can't beat them out. So yeah, I like the pick and where I imagine he'll go in drafts. I don't think there'll be much risk of taking that shot. So my bust pick, and don't hate me there right here. I'm gonna be that guy.
You gotta be that guy. Gotta be that guy.
Look, CMC. I am risk averse in the first round. I want to take people that I know will be good. I drafted CMC at the end of the first round in our league. I ended up trading him in week 1, but I did draft him.
Yeah, I drafted him and he fucking died on me.
He is an elite talent. Look, he was the running back 1 last year. Could he do it again? Yeah. He's a great pass catching back. He's rushed for what did he rush for, like 1,500 yards,
Something like
but
that.
he had 400 touches, and we've seen this story before. Running
Yeah,
backs,
fuck it. We hold grudges. Fuck it. We hold grudges. I'm holding a grudge.
running backs who touch the ball 400 times are worse the next year, and CMC especially. You know, he's touched the ball 400 times before and been bad the next year basically every time he's done it. I'm fading the risk. I don't want to take CMC at number 6 overall. I'll push him down behind some of those other guys. I'll push him down behind, CeeDee Lamb, and I'll treat him very similarly to Saquon Barkley.
Okay, I could see that.
All right, who's your bust, and give me an opportunity to make fun of you after you say it as well.
That's because you know who's coming already. The bust for me is gonna be fucking Drake May. Made it to the Super Bowl last year. Good job. He got fucked in the Super Bowl last year. He good quarterback. Easiest schedule last season. Doesn't know what to do with the ball when he's getting rushed. And he proved it last year against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. When he gets pushed back and he has to step back and think about it a little bit more, it's almost like his QB vision goes straight down or straight out. They made him look like he played the easiest schedule in the NFL last year. I just couldn't I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. I can't see it this season. I think with the harder schedule that he's going to have this year, there's going to be a couple more defenses that he goes up against that saw what happened to him in the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to say they're going to do exactly what the Seahawks did because you never know. But I will say that if there's a defense that gets in his face and makes him drop back, there is going to be a different game that he needs to learn how to play. Granted, last year was very, very good for him. Made it to the Super Bowl. Anytime anybody makes it to the Super Bowl, they're obviously going to get some sort of kudos. But like I said, Kerry Collins made it to the fucking Super Bowl, and then he got his bare ass spanked like his daddy was not happy with something that he did. So this is where I am with this. I just don't see what happened last year happening again. Now, does that mean that I won't take the shit when it's given afterwards? You feed me a shit pie at the end of the season, I'm going to have to eat it if it happens again.
Okay. Here's what I'll say about Drake May. He's one of the Patriots are one of the teams I statted out. I have him throwing more yards, more touchdowns, rushing for less yards, but the same amount of touchdowns. They added Lomu, who's a hell of an offensive lineman. They're adding most likely A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs. They added a tight end in the draft. They're losing only Steph Diggs. So I see the pieces around him getting better. Look, are there red flags? Yeah. He played elite defenses in the playoffs. He played the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Seahawks, and he had bad games against all 4 of them. So there are red flags. It's like he played an easy schedule. He had a great year. When he played hard teams in the playoffs, he didn't perform. But they scored the second most points in the league last year. If he takes a step back, I can't imagine it's a big one. Here's my point where I may agree with you. He is the 3rd quarterback in ADP at the moment, going early 4th round. So he's at the 3-4 turn right now. Would you prefer Drake May, the 3-4 turn, or players like Jordan Love in the 11th round, Jackson Dart in the 6th round, Caleb Williams in the 7th round, Dak in the 8th round, or your boy Matt Stafford in the 9th round?
Well, obviously I'm going to go the GOAT in the 9th round, but Jordan Love in the 11th round, I would take that as well.
This might just be a philosophy thing because I I am just typically a late round quarterback guy. I fade that early pay up that you have to do of a fourth round pick could be a league winning wide receiver, a league winning running back.
It's true.
Most likely Drake May is going to outscore Jordan Love, but is he going to outscore him by 100 points? I don't think so. So
No.
I'll take the Jordan Love. I'll grab a backup quarterback to play on really bad matchups. But Drake May, I'll be shocked if he's not a top 5 QB personally.
Like I said, I'll eat it. If I'm wrong, I'll eat it.
All right, so that wraps us up for today. Any closing thoughts? Any closing dad thoughts for the listeners, Jeff?
Number one dad thought for me right now is to other new dads that are out there. If you guys do not know how to swaddle your child, don't believe how good the nurses are at doing it. They make it look like it's so easy. There are swaddles that are out there you can get that make it a 1-2 step for you, and you'll never forget it, and it'll always be easy every single time. That's my last take.
I wonder if the dads in the NFL are they have less fumbles because they're so proficient on swaddling their babies, like they should be holding that football.
I would not be surprised.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us on Fantasy Dad Duo. Catch us next week and we'll see you then.
We'll see you later, guys.